All right, in Lakeisha, Lakeen, everybody. Once again, I have the renowned astrologer Krisztina Simon. She has been a regular guest here in Portal Místico, and as always, it is such an honor for her to be here with us. She has done so many predictions, and if you look at previous episodes, especially the one on Venezuela, her predictions are coming true. Now we are going to discuss the eclipses, but we're going to just talk a little bit about the Venezuelan thing. I just want to dive deep into that just for a little bit. And then we're going to talk about these amazing eclipses that are going on and how it's going to affect us and what we can look forward to for the next few months. Krisztina, once again, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure, and I do love to talk about collective and mundane astrology because predictive astrology is one of my favorite. I truly enjoy it. And yes, we were talking about Maduro and Venezuela, and it seems something is happening because obviously, no matter what and how, but Trump is threatening Maduro, and something is there which is because we were talking about that Maduro is going to be either resign or most likely going to be like passing away. That's what we were talking about. And it seems like somehow, and also because we're gonna talk about the eclipses today, and because the eclipse is gonna happen Pisces and Virgo, and Pisces actually is drug cartel as well, it's and oil as well, and natural gas. And obviously what Trump wants from Venezuela, it is the thick oil which Venezuela has under earth, and it's not even used yet. Obviously they want to have the shift. Trump doesn't want anything else to go for oil, and it is drug cartel, and it is also oil because of Maduro is obviously it's a member of cartel that is like affected by the eclipses. And most likely the eclipse is 82 minutes. They say usually when it's a total eclipse and the totalness is 82 minutes, it's gonna go for 82 years. We're gonna fight against homelessness, and most likely the oil industry is over within 82 years, but we're gonna talk about that later on. I just wanted to tap on that, what we predicted before, and we were talking about Maduro previously, and I predicted his time is ending soon.
Okay, wonderful. I think it's time to have a reset with Venezuela. We've been in a dictatorship now for over 20 years. I think it's time to this phase we learned as a Venezuelans, we've gotten a lot of lessons from, learning from our experiences. And I think it's time for that group to move on because God knows there's so many Venezuelans. There's 7 million Venezuelans living internationally. And I think a lot of people would love to go home, right? I haven't been home in 7 years now.
Oh, yeah. A lot
So
of people would like to go home, and also a lot of people also threatened, even in America, because the new immigration law doesn't even give you childbirth citizenship. And it could be very fearful for people who are living in the US and Venezuelan, because it seems like whoever the recent administration mad at, then they're going to make them to have difficult life over here.
agree. Thank you. Yes, for anybody, as I mentioned in the open introduction, if you want to hear the predictions, Christina is always right on. She does amazing readings also, and she does so many services, and I'll put all her links. But let's talk about eclipse season. We finished some pretty heavy energy with the Mercury retrograde. It was pretty rough for me personally. I think we've all been feeling a lot of heaviness. So share with us, is there any good news? Give us the dates. Tell us what you're seeing in the chart.
All right, first of all, to me, Mercury retrograde, it's nothing to be afraid of. There could be a misconception over there, but however, everything could slow down during retrograde season, and Mercury could bring in some difficulties with connection and communication, and having your like laptop broke or your car broke, because that's what it was. But not necessarily, I indication in the chart for me, but is very heavy. It's an opposition, or it's a by malefic planets or a square, and I feel that more important than a simple Mercury retrograde. However, right now, we did have two kites in the sky, and you can check that out on my YouTube channel. I was talking about that, and it is going to benefit us for a while on personal level. And we also had Sirius and Jupiter and Venus conjunction in Cancer at 14 degrees, which was an amazing blessing. You didn't see Sirius in the sky because Sirius became visible on the 19th, but you knew the energy is over there, and I sent you a message to make sure you're doing your prayers, and I always sent it to my very close friends and clients. I went to the beach and I was watching through Venus and Jupiter rising, and then I knew the Sirius energy is there. We were chanting together, dancing with my friends out on the beach. It was beautiful. We invited the energy in. But the eclipse, we already stepped in the eclipse season, guys, because the eclipse starts 6 weeks before and 6 weeks after. But if you are checking the eclipse season, it also starts, and usually it starts 18 months because of it's connected with the nodes, the north node and the south node. And because of that, when, for example, we had in 2025 beginning, we had the north node and south node move to and Virgo, then it started the eclipse season in the beginning of 2025 January, and it's gonna end with the last eclipse in which is 2026 August 28. And it's gonna be 4 degrees. This recent eclipse gonna happen September 7th and it's gonna happen 15 degrees 22 minutes. It's the midpoint of and Virgo. And what you have to understand, every single eclipse is fated event, and you cannot control it whatsoever. It's karmic. It's a karmic shift for the collective, and it happens on the midpoint. And I also going to talk about some fixed star over here when we're gonna interpret how can it unfold for the collective, both of the eclipse. And it's also going to trine with Sirius in Cancer. And we do have two asteroids in Scorpio, which is one of them is Narcissus, and not necessarily the best one, but Sirius is amazing. And also we do have one in 15 degree, what we're going to talk about. But the eclipse, the lunar eclipse, was gonna happen September 7th. It's a full moon on steroids, and it's a total lunar eclipse. Also, guys, what you have to understand, during lunar eclipse, me as an astrologer, psychic, I never go out, I never look into the eclipse, because it is lunar eclipse, it's fated karmic event, what is turning out to be negative usually, and the solar eclipse is usually karmic, unpredictable, but positive, okay? The lunar eclipse is full moon on steroids. The solar eclipse always is new moon on steroids. That's what you have to understand. The solar eclipse over here, but we're going to start with the lunar eclipse. That is, the lunar eclipse happens when the earth phases between the sun and the moon, all right? And the earth shadow falls on the moon and covers it. And as I said, the total eclipse, you can follow that on an application. If you type in the time and date, and then you are capable to see where is the lunar eclipse going to take places. Where can you see the eclipse from? You can see that from Europe and Asia, and also the Philippines, and also the west part of Australia. These people going to be affected, really affected. The whole entire eclipse is gonna be 5 hours and 27 minutes, but the total duration is an hour 22 minutes, which is 82 minutes, which is 82 years. And you always have to check where can you see the eclipse, because wherever the eclipse can be seen, those are the part of the earth and countries which will be affected by the eclipse. As I said, Australia, Philippines, India. What's gonna happen during this eclipse? This is lunar eclipse. This is an energy. You check the 12th house. What does it mean, the 12th house? And the 12th house, ruled by Jupiter and Neptune. You check the keywords of those and Jupiter and Neptune, and then you are capable to interpret the whole entire eclipse over here. For example, the keywords of those for example the 12 house the keywords, and then you can check the mundane astrology. In mundane, representing prisons, hospitals, orphanages, mental health institutions, secret society, hidden enemies, hidden surveillance, asylum system, anything to do with underground laboratory, spiritual institutions. Also, it could be the underprivileged, the veterans. It could be also, for example, orphanages and hospice as well. And on your personal level, it's your dreams, your solitude, your karma, your escapism, anything to do with addiction and mysticism, illusion and delusion. That is your spiritual gift, but also it is self-sabotaging behavior and spiritual crisis as well. And in medical astrology, it's actually representing your feet, your lymphatic illusion and delusion. That is your spiritual gift, but also it is self-sabotaging behavior and spiritual crisis as well. And in medical astrology, it's representing your feet, your lymphatic system, your immune system, for example, depression, mental illness, anything to do with sleep apnea or sleep disorders and substance abuse, and psychic overwhelming or anything to do with hospitalization. And in finances, it also secret funds, anonymous donations, for example, hospital revenue, fraud, also it's representing karmic debt, hidden wealth, also offshore accounts, stolen money. We need to check what does it rule, because this is the only way we are capable to translate, right? How is it going to turn out? And Neptune, which rules, it rules the oil, the natural gas, the pharmaceutical, drugs, drug cartel, alcohol, anything to do with photography, filmography, movies, most like documentaries, like it's the music industry as well, and NFT art, spiritual business, and false signals as well, and fraud scandals as well. And psychology creates illusion, delusion, and as I said, the lymphatic systems as well. But also representing, because Neptune is also pharmaceuticals and anything to do with pandemic, for example, or climate crisis, which is related to flooding, tsunamis, and hurricanes, water pollution, obviously. We have to know what does it rules, and that's the only way we are capable to translate. And also Jupiter rules as well. And Jupiter in the market and trading, it is oats and international equities and travel industry, publishing, universities, and legal firms. It's very important because we see what's going on with the universities right now in America. They cannot speak. We don't have freedom of speech anymore. And it's universal, and institutions, anything to do with religious institution, law and order and court. But Jupiter also represents your optimism, your wisdom, your hips, your liver, your metabolism, fat metabolism as well. When we are translating something, we have to understand what is the keywords here.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing. I was going to say this lunar eclipse is going to be like on steroids, and especially what you mentioned about the full moon. I wanted to recap that. We should never go outside and not put your crystals outside either, right? I think we
talked about that last time. No.
Not because there's an eclipse. If there wasn't an eclipse, we're good to go. But because this is a charged eclipse, is what I'm understanding, right? It's like a charged eclipse on
the eclipse is fated, my dear. It's bad because it's lunar. You never go out and never go to. You can pray for protection, but not under the eclipse. And I never charge my crystals. I don't want to have negative energy. Yes.
If you wanted to do, for example, an empowering circle, would that be something that you should not do? If somebody wanted to do like a divine feminine circle during the eclipse, or just not do any type of activity?
I do activity. I do taking a black salt bath during that time, and I do chanting. And during the eclipse, I always chant for the collective. I always chant for peace on earth. And I chant for healing for others. So yeah, you can chant and you can pray and whatever your religion, your spiritual philosophy, you can do that. But I always do have black candle to diminish the negative energy during the eclipse, during a lunar eclipse.
Lunar eclipse. Okay, yeah. I know eclipse season. I've been reading a little bit and I love that you're confirming. It's a very fated. I was reading that it could also be very karmic where you could find a partner if you're looking. This would be the energetic vibe with these eclipses. We're looking. I know somebody wrote to me and they wanted to ask if, because due to this very strong energy, if you see fated connections as a possibility for people to karmically come together or part ways as well.
Only solar eclipse, not lunar eclipse.
Only the solar. Okay.
Lunar eclipse usually taking away suffering and partners. It could end a divorce or a process, or it could create a breakup, or maybe you already broke up 2 months before, but it is ending the suffering from the breakup and the karmic connection. So it is, but lunar eclipse is turning out to be negative and solar eclipse turning to be. But yes, solar eclipse could bring in events, but where is it gonna happen? The lunar eclipse is in the 12th house, as I said, and I mentioned all the keywords. That's where you most likely going to have to let go of something. This lunar eclipse would be really great for people who are suffering from addiction and self-sabotaging behavior, because these people are capable to give up and end the self-sabotaging behavior. It could also end life in hospice. Maybe you have someone in hospice who are really suffering, and it could end the life of that person, for example. Like that is most likely the lunar eclipse is taking something out.
Okay, so the partial solar eclipse is taking place at 21st. No?
Yes, 21st. Yeah.
21st. Okay. Let's talk about that energy a little bit, just to do the contrast.
Okay, anything to do with, because it's gonna happen Virgo and it's going to happen 29 degrees on Virgo, so it's very karmic. And this is going to be opposing Saturn and it's going to oppose Neptune. It's an out of sign opposition, but it's still creating a kite in heaven. Most of the things, for example, it's happening in Virgo 29 minutes, and Pluto is very early Aquarius, Uranus very early Gemini. So very karmic, but it's still an out of sign kite, which is like an angel wing. Getting this solar eclipse going to be very positive. The lunar eclipse, I'm gonna tell you what it's gonna bring in, both of it, but the solar eclipse is going to help you with healthcare. Anything to do with people can, for example, adopt a pet or save a pet, because of sixth house also do something to do with your small animals. Your small animal can heal. Sixth house is also healing, and it could be through nutrition. It could be through some kind of, you find the best integrative medicine doctor and you're capable to heal during this eclipse. It's rules your colleague, it's use your tenancy. For example, you can buy a rental property during this time. And if you believe it or not, sixth house is also soulmate. Fifth house is romance, seventh house is committed partner, but sixth house is the soulmate relationship. It could bring in some kind of soulmate for some people, or maybe you want to buy a rental property, or maybe you want to open a therapy for animals, or maybe you are a veterinarian and right now you find the perfect things to buy and you can open your veterinarian business. Definitely, it could also, the global health experience could get better during this Virgo eclipse. It could be like maybe there will be new private insurances around the world which will be affordable, because sixth house, for example, Virgo rules private hospitals, rules governmental hospitals, right? It could be like we're moving forward more private, but it's gonna be more affordable for the public. That's the difference over here, right? And sixth house is also anything to Virgonian energy, very detailed, but South Node is there during this eclipse, right? And it is like getting rid of perfectionism. Finally, you see the bigger picture. You don't want to be self-criticizing yourself and self-doubt yourself all the time. It's gonna give you an amazing opportunity to heal. Healing is possible. Relationship is possible during this time.
For Virgos, all my friends who are Virgos, what would be it's Virgo season coming in. What would you say for Virgos since we're having the eclipses in their sign?
It's not just for Virgos, but for Virgos, that solar eclipse definitely going to be something to do with the health and the service sector, so they can open up a business and they can become freelancer. And it is also going to affect Capricorn and Taurus, because this eclipse is going to trine with Capricornian and Taurian energy, right? The solar eclipse energy. It's going to bring them opportunity, those earth signs, for example. It's very important, but for Virgos, and we also have to talk about the anaretic degree. 29 degree is very anaretic and it's opposing Saturn also. It is very karmic for Virgos and for earth signs, and they can get grounded, for example, and definitely they are capable to open up a gym, if you want to open up a juice bar, whatever six house is representing. It's something to do, become, for example, a Reiki healer. Maybe you would like to become a nurse practitioner, and it could be really good for that, to practice something, or invite a new partner into your life, or maybe adopt a pet. It could be really good
Okay.
for that.
I love it. It's so interesting. I think eclipses are I can be very powerful in understanding how they're going to affect your personal life and what things to look forward to. And if somebody wanted to get more in-depth reading, all they needed to do was just to contact you directly, and then you can give a reading and figure out how the eclipses are going to affect. Because the eclipses, from my understanding, the effect can be up to 6 months after. Also, you have the dates, but you said 6 weeks, or it could start. I think I've heard it could be. It could. Do you want to clarify that?
So 6 weeks before and 6 weeks after, it's very potent. But as I said at the very beginning, when it starts the nodes, because it's connected with the North Node and South Node, when the South Node, North Node move to Pisces and Virgo axis, where the eclipse is happening right now, and it's gonna happen, the last eclipse gonna take place at 2026, August 28, and after 6 months, it's going to finish the 2 year cycle, for example, because 18 months is until the nodes are in one sign, traveling through, and they are always in retrograde motion and always in opposition with each other. But usually it's an 18-month cycle, to 18 months to 2 years. But right before the eclipse, it is very strong before 6 weeks and after 6 weeks. But if you watch the collective, you have to watch the whole entire 18 months, for example, if it's not personal level. For example, the eclipse, right, which could be like tsunamis and actually hurricanes, it is going to be very active actually until 2027 February. Because after the last eclipse, February, that's gonna be very potent.
Well, we're in hurricane season here in the United States, so we could probably expect a little bit of an intense hurricane season for the Caribbean, the United States, maybe some of the South America, Venezuela, Colombia, and then they could get a little bit of that tailwind of the hurricanes.
Actually, as I said, you really have to check where is going to be the eclipse, and it's affecting the very south part of Japan, and it is more like the Vietnam and Indonesia and Australia a little bit and India. So I assume right now the eclipse, in of course in Florida it's always, but could create tsunamis, and not tsunamis but hurricanes. But I truly believe right now it's gonna go toward, because of the eclipse, it's gonna go toward to the Indonesian part, because it's affect always wherever it goes through.
Oh, okay, wonderful. All right. So, yeah, I just wanted clarification on that. Awesome. Yeah, that's why it's so I love astrology and you do such a
Yeah.
great job at explaining it. What are some main themes that just for those that maybe they don't know too much about astrology that you can keep your eye out for? So in general, it would just be not being triggered because the energies are going to get more intense, especially with the lunar.
Listen, the lunar eclipse, we have a saving grace over here. And I told you guys at the beginning, I checked because of Arcanar, actually, which is a fixed star at 15 degrees. And it is actually have a Jupiter and Venus flavor. It is definitely spiritual wealth and anything to do with philanthropic ideas as well and secret deals. And also it is trining with Sirius, which is also Jupiter, Mars, and Jupiter Cancer. It is actually a saving grace in this eclipse. This eclipse could be very powerful and it could be really overwhelming, but somehow because of the two fixed stars are involved in this eclipse and it's creating a trine, and Jupiter also exalted in Cancer and still create a trine with this eclipse, that it's going to be something. For example, yes, we can get and imprison the cartel leaders, or we are going to imprison the ones who are pedophiles, and finally it's leaking data out, and finally we're gonna know, and finally justice will be served. Finally
Amen.
we
Yeah.
going to take care of the homeless, is not like moving them out from the city, and but instead of that to create tiny houses and going down with the crimes, right? Because if shelter is provided, education and healthcare, then the crime is going down. And don't forget, is also socialism as well. And because of its opposing Saturn, and Saturn is capitalism, but Saturn is in which rules this eclipse, right? And the solar eclipse also opposing, it could create a socialist democracy, which is why really good, because everybody on the bottom going to be fed enough not to create crimes, GDP for the country, so the country can flourish, still taking care of the underprivileged and decrease the crime, but still can bloom, right? With compassion, it could be really great. And if
Oh, I love
somebody
that.
didn't read the Neil Walsh, The Conversation with God, just read that book because this is very.
Yeah, I love that Neil Wash. I read that, I don't know, 20 something years ago, and it was like that. Those are one of the books that changed my life. And being somebody that channels, I have spoken to God. That's I've noticed for me as an empath, medium, clairvoyant, and you can confirm, but I feel like these energies are helping me attune. And my dreams have been very vivid, and I've had a lot of downloads, and I've been waking up around, I don't know, maybe 4:30 or 5 in the morning. And it's so my spiritual mysticism, psychic abilities are being heightened. So it feels like I'm being supported at this time with these energies.
Pisces rules psychic energy, rules dreamland. Pisces rules download from the Akashic record. From heaven, Pisces is the eternal womb. Obviously, you are capable to connect with people who long time ago died, or not even long time ago, and you are capable to reconnect with your friends, family, your brothers through your dreams. Lucidity is very important. And this kind of eclipse, because it's a saving grace with the Arcanar, with this Jupiter, Venus, which is love and growth, and Jupiter also bringing in blessing from above.
I know I'm lucky because I'm a Cancer, everybody, and Jupiter's in my sign for the next year, and I'm still feeling my way into the Jupiter energy. There is some positive aspects astrologically speaking. I was joking around that there's always, my friends are like, there's always something going on with astrology in you. And I said, the sky's always speaking to us. You have to pay attention so you can manage and work with it and see what things you should do, what things maybe you shouldn't. I know that, for example, you should not get plastic surgery during a Mercury retrograde,
It's
correct?
more like Venus retrograde and Mars retrograde, because Mercury retrograde, you are not buying a new car or a new computer, because most likely it will need some kind of, you will need to exchange it because something is, because Mercury rules the roads, it rules cars, communication devices. It's that. But during, for example, Venus retrograde and Mars retrograde, you don't get surgeries. Venus retrograde, especially if it is Botox plastic surgery. Mars retrograde also could be something to do with, because it's cutting, it's surgical procedure, so it could turn out to be negative. Those are the plastic surgery and surgeries. And Mercury retrograde is when you are not getting anything. You can negotiate, you can look into, but most likely try not to buy. Or if you buy it, you can buy it if you need it, but keep the receipt. Keep the receipt so you can take it back if it's not working.
Okay, yeah, thank you for clarifying. And also, so we have 4 months left of the year. I cannot believe 2025 is almost over. I'm very excited to be done with 2025. Personally, people, I am ready to be done with this year. I am ready to be done with the year of the snake. I am ready to be done with year 9. I'm ready for a new energy. But what can you tell us about the next 4 months? What do we have to look forward to, or what things should we keep in mind?
Then we still have the saving grace in heaven, and it's gonna be there for 3 years between Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. It's a mystic triangle. If you guys are investors, it's going to definitely create opportunity to invest in cryptocurrency, Nvidia, Nasdaq, for example, anything with technology, Plantier. Obviously, what they want to have the golden dome around America, and it's not for protection, guys, it is surveillance. They need your data. But Plantier, obviously, because that is the PayPal mafia, right? It's Peter Thiel, and it's gonna go up. If you want to invest in things like that, definitely it's gonna go. I just finished a workshop with Gio, that is an Italian financial astrologer. I don't agree in a few things with him, because he said the BRICS nation currency not gonna go, and I truly believe the BRICS nation currency gonna go up, because American dollar has a Saturn return, and America itself has a Uranus return. And next year, when America gonna have the birthday, the 250th birthday, we're going to have Uranus Mars conjunction exact on Uranus return. It's totally everybody going to be on the street and against government, and it's gonna be crazy. But this year we have these two eclipses. The Virgo eclipse going to be definitely positive, and it's bringing in opportunities. And because the Pisces eclipse is also there, but there is a saving grace, I definitely believe that it's going to be opportunity to jail people. P. Diddy get away, right? For example, because he didn't get the right conviction. But I think something else gonna come back for P. Diddy, which is going to have to jail him. Just if you remembered O.J. Simpson, they couldn't actually put him in jail for the killing the wife, but after, for some tax stupidity, they put him for over 20 years. So that's gonna happen with P. Diddy also. Something else is coming up. Definitely crypto gonna go crazy. Ethereum, I see Ethereum by Q1 next year and end of the year could go to 6, 7 thousand. So it's really going to go very high up. XRM, XRP, it's really going if you are in finances. The Virgo eclipse is more hold each other hands, and the eclipse, and let's try not to criticize each other's, not to be judgmental, and move forward together to help and to be service for each others.
So it's more
And
about the collective, right?
the
Like use
collective.
energy to really, if you're going to do ceremony or pray, really pray for collective, for the collective consciousness, to so we can all, like you said, hold hands together and be more a community vibe versus right now. I feel like a lot of us are in me mode instead of being of service and bartering and coming
Yeah.
together as community.
The Virgo eclipse, you can actually do, it's a new moon, and you can plant a seed. I always tell everyone, plant a seed, it's very important. Also, what is very important, you can use grains, because Virgo rules the wheat and the rice fields. So you can use something, make a rice cake, for example, that to serve Virgo, to serve the
Right.
energy over there, and the wheat field, and plant a seed and see it blooming. Usually, I start to sprout my lotus seeds on new moons.
Ooh, I like
So
that.
I always, new moons is for me always a new bench of lotus seed. I start to seed, and it's beautiful.
We had a new moon, a moon in Virgo.
Yes, we're going to have blue moon. The
Blue moon.
eclipse itself and the today Virgo moon, we also have today a new moon in Virgo. And on the 21st, we're going to have the eclipse in Virgo, which is a new moon again. And that is, okay, there is two moon, which we call it blue moon because either it's happened in one sign or in 1 month, but it's going to be in one sign. So that's why we call it the blue moon. Once in a blue moon, that's where the phrase coming in because it's very rare.
Wow, there's a lot of Virgonian energy in the cosmos. We're all feeling that either the positive side of Virgo or the shadow side, which is a bit critical and
Yeah.
controlling. That's fascinating. I know yesterday I did a new moon ritual online and it was very empowering. And I really felt that I was called to do that. So you have to follow the moons and set your intentions and work with these energies because that's why we work with astrology. So, what else can we discuss as far as these eclipses that you want to share?
I think that's what I wanted to. Definitely, there is a spiritual growth out from these two eclipses because Jupiter, Neptune, which rules its spiritual growth, but somehow we're going to put the spiritual knowledge into practice because Virgo wants practice. It's an earth sign and it's opposing. It says, hey, get some grounding because could be totally I have a Pisces sun with Sagittarius rising. I'm totally lunatic, and that is like Virgo energy is grounding me. That's why I don't like Virgo energy. But I try to accept that because I need to be grounded, and I try my best. But yes.
Yeah, Virgo for me in my chart, yeah, I need to pay attention to that and then be gentle with yourself. There's some trines, like you say, and some eclipse seasons that are more powerful than other. And it's really good for you to get a reading and to have the idea of where your specific chart is and have somebody like
Yeah.
Krisztina tell you because there are aspects that maybe I'm going to feel less powerful or you're going to feel more subtle. So knowing your chart is key into understanding, especially in this tumultuous times that we're living.
I did the 2026 horoscope and I've written 160 pages for each individual rising sign. And I did 140, 150, 120 financial astrology each individual sign. And you can find that on my website. And I did a calendar, an astrology calendar. It is general but beautiful artwork as well with Ian. Ian did the artwork for me, and I did the whole entire astrology part. And you can purchase that if you would like to, or if you are an investor, or if you want to start to invest. Because I'm going month by month and I'm coming with global examples where you should do your research for yourself and who can you invest. I'm giving you advices because I became a financial practitioner certified because of and practitioner, not advisor, but understanding the whole entire crypto world. And next week I'm gonna take another school which is 5 years for crypto world and that world. So you can find that on my website, and the general, not the financial, but the general is very affordable. And also videos, the 12 videos as well. It's usually between 3 to 4 hours. It depends how quickly I talk, but I do talk quickly. But anyway, it's sometimes it's way too long, but you just have to listen parts for January. This month I'm listening her for January, and I bring in financial and medical.
Yeah,
Always the whole entire, I'm giving you the whole 9 yards with everything.
I love that. Now you go deep. That's one thing that I love about how you do your readings and your charts. And when you do your sessions, you go really deep into the astrology and you give a lot of examples.
Yes.
And You explain it in a way that it's easy to understand and you're very descriptive. And so you help the person understand a little bit about astrology in general, which can be sometimes it could be complicated. What do all the houses mean? What does this mean? So the fact that you provide these services is so beautiful and you're so insightful. And I always enjoy when
Thank
you
you.
hop on here and we can just discuss the astrology or many of the other services. We've talked about feng shui, and Krisztina is always one of those wonderful guest speakers here in Portal Mística. I think right now the main message is focus on these eclipse season and work with the energies, and just remember that the lunar eclipse is going to be a charged eclipse. It's going to be, as you mentioned, on steroids, full, and just really work with yourself. And then towards the mid end of September with that partial solar, then things are going to be a little bit calmer. And she gave you tons of tips and guides on how to work with the energy. So I'm just so happy that we were able to do this today.
Me too. And I'm looking forward to 2026, even if it could be, but we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna have a fire horse, and I love horses. So the snake is over, and we're gonna have a good horse year, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm ready. I always share about my personal stuff. This year has been a very
Yeah.
beautiful year with a lot of growth, a lot of experiences, but it's being the mouse or the rat in the year of the snake has been a little bit of a shit show.
Yeah, difficult, I know. Yeah, but right now, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I look forward to having
You.
you again. And so stay tuned for more episodes in Portal Místico.
Thank you, guys. See you soon. Bye for now.